time I started telling people that I was going to be moving to New York with my 9-month-old son and my wife, I would get looks like this or this. And inevitably the question was, why are you moving to New York City? In this video, I'm answering that question. Why did I move to New York City? Today is an absolutely beautiful sunny day in New York City, which is great because it sounds like there's a winter storm coming this weekend. And I'm actually going into the office to work for the very first time after 3 months of working at this job. I haven't been in the office yet, even though I'm technically hybrid. Most of the people I work with are in Florida, so there's really no reason for me to go in. I got some focus work I need to do, so I just need to just be alone with the computer, no distractions, and just get some stuff done. So since I moved here, not only do people constantly ask me why, in the 3 months that I've been here, I still get people back home, friends and family, sending me just ridiculous, outrageous things that they find on social media that are happening here in New York City. Sometimes it's funny stuff, like this dreidel guy just spinning around on the subway during Hanukkah, or sometimes it's just crazy, just downright unbelievable things, like these guys who managed to steal a subway train. You heard that right, they stole a subway train. But usually it's just something gross, like this guy just defecating on the street in Brooklyn. And what am I actually supposed to do with this information? I'm not here to convince you that New York City is some sort of urban utopia, that it's a perfect place, and that it can't at times be gross, and in some parts maybe even dangerous. And I'm not here to convince you to move to New York City or to love it. I'm not even here to tell you why I moved to New York City. Wait, I think that's exactly what I was supposed to be doing. So yes, I am here to tell you why I moved to New York City. We'll get to that. But mostly, I'm just here because I'm sick of hearing some of these tired cliches, not just about New York City and living here, but about just city living in general. One of the biggest ones is that the city is inherently dangerous. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't dangerous cities or cities that have a lot of crime, or even that there aren't dangerous or neighborhoods within the city that have more crime. But the accusation that a city in and of itself is inherently more dangerous, or that by living here you're putting yourself and your family at greater risk at being victimized by crime. I'm no economist, I'm no criminologist, but I'm willing to bet there's no data to back that up. Just about arriving at the office, and for obvious reasons I can't really show you guys much on the inside, so we'll pick this up a little later. Got a little crazy yesterday when I got home, baby, dog, etc. So didn't finish up the vlog, so I'm picking it up now. One of the other things I hear a lot of is that cities are no place to raise children. As someone who was raised in a city, I kind of take a little bit of exception to that because, you know, I thought I had a pretty good childhood. It turns out I was in danger my entire life. Learning how to make my way around the city without my mom or dad driving me around everywhere. No shade if your parents drove you around everywhere, but I know how to use the subway system. I knew how to take the bus and get wherever I needed to go independently before I was even in high school. So yeah, I mean, I do take a little bit of exception to that because, yeah, I was raised in a city. So, you know, was I not raised right? Was something wrong with me that I don't know? Anyway, going to the grocery store, walking to the grocery store, which is another thing. Walking. I love walking. The proximity to amenities, the proximity to everything that I need is one big plus for cities over having to drive to a Walmart. Anyway, I won't get into that, but it's pretty cool. now. Got my stuff. About to cook some dinner tonight. It's supposed to be a simple dinner, at least by Italian food standards. So today I'm making spaghetti alla carbonara. Anyway, one of the other cliches that I always hear when people talk about like city living is how mean people are in the city and how much nicer people are in small towns, how they actually talk to each other, which I think is a total crock of crap. You have 8 million people crammed into this city, and they have to share services like the subway and have to walk their dogs in the same park and use the same amenities and so on. People are going to talk. The cliche with New Yorkers in particular is that they're mean and whatnot, but like I've found New Yorkers to be nothing but nice, nicer than Torontonians or most Canadians, to be honest. Yes, people move quickly, and if you don't get to the point fast enough, nobody's got time for that. Pro tip is like knowing what to order before you get to the front of the line. So while you're in line, don't be like just scrolling through Instagram on your phone. Look at the menu, figure out what you want. When somebody asks you, have an answer to that question. I just think the whole people are smaller and nice towns. I think the whole people are nicer in small towns thing is just a load of bull. I think people are people wherever you go. There's just more people, so you're more likely to encounter either way. So far, I've had nothing but great experiences talking to New Yorkers around the street. I have more conversations. I think people are more willing to talk to each other here in New York City. The saying or the belief that people are inherently meaner or ruder or less polite or nice to each other in a big city is just bull. Anyway, I gotta get back to this dinner. Delicious. Got some beautiful Parmigiano Reggiano here, again, from a local cheese vendor that imports it from Italy. This is a bougie cheese household only. Love being able to just walk to all these places and get quality cheese, get quality meat and bread from all the various vendors. It's always what I wanted, just to be able to walk and, you know, get to know the guy who sells me the cheese and get to know the guy who bakes my bread in the morning. The last thing that a lot of people will say when you tell them you moved to New York City, they'll bring up how expensive it is. And while New York City is expensive, yeah, I got nothing after that. New York City is actually really expensive. But like it's going to be expensive. Living in like a cultural center with access to, you know, food and world-class museums and art and music all around you, there's going to be a price tag to that, and for some people it's not worth it. For me, at this point in my life, it is. So that's why I'm here. But with all that said, none of those things are the reason I moved to New York City. None of the reasons that people move to New York City or the reasons people hate New York City and won't come here, none of those reasons are the reasons I moved here, and none of those reasons will be the reason I move. I'm in New York City because when I was in high school, I just kept having this dream. I'd never been to New York City, but I just kept having this dream of like living here because it seemed like all of the things that I really loved were in some way centralized here in New York City, whether it was music with like hip hop or you know, films that I loved that were set here or made here, whether it was all like the history and the museums or even the fact that the Ninja Turtles lived here. All like New York City was just this like mythological place in my mind. You know, I never told anyone that dream. I never spoke about it. I just assumed that it was too far-fetched to move here. Fast forward a bunch of years and I meet my wife and suddenly we start talking and we start sharing our dreams and the things that we love, and New York City was one of those things that just kept coming up, and you know, it was just like suddenly it just felt like, oh hey, yeah, maybe one day that would happen, and I told her the dreams, and suddenly like I told somebody about it and still nothing happened, and then fast forward a bunch of other years and we started visiting New York City, and then eventually we were just like, you know, should we just try to move here? There's a lot of craziness going on in the other room where I've exiled everyone while I film this, so like I gotta wrap this up. I'm trying not to be cliche about why I moved to New York, but it's really just as cliche as you think it is. New York had this allure, this gravity to it, because of what I saw on TV and in music and you know what I've read about. The New York that I read about is definitely not the same New York that I live in today. But I would hope that, you know, however it is that I'm here, that I can sort of weave myself into the fabric of the city and really feel it's just really hard to concentrate with that going on. Anyway, okay, so I gotta cut this off. Where are we at? There's a ton being written about in Canada and in the media about people leaving Canada, immigrants leaving Canada, and people like just, you know, fed up with the cost of housing and the job market and just all the, you know, challenges that Canada's going through right now. I feel like if none of that existed, if things were absolutely perfect for us in Canada, and we had a house and, you know, a well-paying job, I still would have always just kind of had this uneasiness, this restlessness to leave. So many people in big cities come from smaller towns, and then for me, growing up in a big city, I felt like there was really nowhere else for me to go. Like, nothing felt big enough for me to leave Toronto. By some measure, New York City is the biggest city in the world. And it's not by population or size, that's for sure. But for me, it felt like that's where I needed to go. And it didn't, and it happened at the time that it was supposed to happen. The plan was never to move here with my wife and a baby, but that's how it worked out, and I wouldn't have had it any other way. I'd much rather be in New York City with my family than, you know, just being here out in these streets all by myself. In hindsight, maybe years from now on this channel, I can tell you exactly why it was supposed to be New York City. But in the meantime, you can continue to join me in this channel, subscribe, and help me figure out why and be on this journey with me. But in the meantime, I appreciate you watching. Love you guys, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.